Hello and welcome to Variant Edition, your first weekly video podcast about comics and comic culture. I'm Kevin.
And I'm Mike, but this isn't weekly, this is the second time we're on.
Episode 35, happening on a Monday, when episode 34 was on Thursday.
So this is twice a week then?
Twice a week. It's not going to be every week.
Not going to be every week.
We're not insane, but...
Nor do we have the funds to pull that off.
But what the hell, figured we'd try it out once in a while. And we got tons of interviews. So, you know, we got to share those interviews with you guys.
Yeah, like, for example, mine with Rob Reilly today.
Yeah, and I mean, God, we shot that so long ago that, you know, it's like, it was a disservice to our fans to not get that on the air or online. And we're fixing that today.
I liked your online hand movement.
Online. It's like spreading out throughout the world.
What is the internet?
Yes, it's that. You are the internet. So, we got this lovely piece... Animated Boba Fett.
This is Han Solo. Oh, Boba Fett.
Han Solo. Oh, God. Yeah. Send your hate mail to mike@variantedition.com.
This is obviously the best Wookiee I have ever seen. Hands down, best Wookiee sculpt ever.
God, C-3PO's kind of let himself go there.
Just look at that hair.
It's like, I don't know. But anyways, yeah, Nick will be taking a look at this later because he is our resident Boba fan.
That's okay. I don't have to make fun of that. Okay, let's just move on with the show then.
Yeah, and we're gonna go straight to the reviews.
Hey, we're here again for Variant Edition Toy and Statue Review, and I found this guy out in the street, figured he'd do good with us here, right?
You know, you go out and you ask for change, you never know who you're gonna run into.
That's right.
So, what are you gonna do? So anyway, I got this. It's not yours.
I wish it was mine.
This is mine. This just came out like a couple days ago. Gentle Giants has been doing this awesome line of Clone Wars, you know, the animated style Star Wars characters, but they're doing like the traditional trilogy. And what is your take on this? Because I mean, honestly,
we looked at. I mean, we've seen pictures of this a long time coming, and we looked at this when we were in
Philadelphia.
Philly. Yeah. And that was awesome. Now,
yeah.
It's even nicer now to see it in person, to look all around it, to not have to squint through glass.
Oh yeah,
dude, the movement on it, it's unreal.
Like the thing that I love about this is it's the whole playing on less is more. He's not really gritty. He doesn't really have detail. It's all pretty much one color depending on what it is. But it's awesome. I mean, there's nothing going on, but you know what's happening. You know there's some explosion. He's about to shoot some poor bastard with his gun, and there's all these flames on the base. It's great. There's so much action in something so simple. I mean, that alone. The little cape thing that he's got on his shoulder, everything involved in that, the holes, the curves, the waves, everything.
Yeah. And the colors, the subtle red, orange, yellow in the flames and the base. I mean, and by far the nicest one.
Oh yeah.
Of the clone pieces. I'm gonna get all of them probably.
I mean, the Leia's nice, the Vader that they have coming out is nice, but Boba Fett
it's unreal. And just again, for people who don't know, the Clone Wars is the animated Star Wars. They were shorts, but you get them now.
Yeah, it took place between Episode 2 and Episode 3 to fill in those gaps.
Yeah, I'm not normally a huge fan of them doing that, but I mean, he's just so, for not being detailed, he's so detailed, he's so on, he's such a perfect caricature of Boba Fett. Badass Boba Fett.
That's the great thing about this. Boba Fett, like, you all know, if you've watched the show before, I'm a huge Boba Fett fan. Yeah. And I think a lot of people are Boba Fett fans. And the reason why people love Boba Fett, he's got attitude, but he doesn't really have to do much.
No, he just
to give you attitude. And that's exactly what this statue does. It captures all the attitude and all the badass qualities that Boba Fett has to offer.
Yeah.
So yeah, if you can get your grubby mitts on this like I did, I would advise highly to pick it up if you're a Star Wars fan, a Boba Fett fan, or just a fan of really well-done statues.
Yeah, it's an amazing statue. I mean, and you can get them. Because I didn't order it when it first came out, so I'm hunting for it now. The other day on eBay, it was like $85.
Yeah, for like buy it now.
Yeah, so that's what it comes out at almost, right?
Yeah.
What is it, like $80?
$80 these are going for at any shop
it's
or
wherever
you go.
It's a must-have. If you haven't taken a close look at it and you haven't seen one in person, you got to see it in person. The pictures just don't do it justice. You see it in person, and it's just amazing. The action going on, the attitude. Awesome piece. Awesome piece. Sorry.
You know, with that many awesomes, you know this thing's got to be good.
Yeah. I think it's nice.
You think?
No, it's great. It's great. It's great enough to make me spend the money on the rest of them.
Oh yeah.
Because of how nice it was, I missed it, but I ordered the Leia, I ordered the
Vader.
I'll probably get the C-3PO, you know. The only one I've seen so far pre-pictured that I wasn't real excited about was a Stormtrooper. He's kind of got a, did you see that yet? He's kind of got an oddball run pose going, but we'll get to that once we get him in, because I'm sure once I see him in person, I'm going to like him also.
Probably. Maybe some black lining will fix him. Maybe
yes.
some adjustments you could do to it.
Ah, yes. A little black lining fixes anything you see.
Yeah.
Gentle Giants, classic. I'm not sure. Let's do the regular thing. What's he limited to?
What's he got? Limited to...
He's not limited.
No.
There you go.
Boba Fett is limited to 7,000,
Wow.
so he's very available.
You're going to get him if you want him. $80.
Yep. And the prices shouldn't even go up that much, like down the line in a few years. I mean, there's 7,000 of them out there, so...
They will. They will. Star Wars Gentle Giants, price will go up. Them damn busts.
I'm just saying,
they're
7,000.
making 7,000 of them, and the bust is 10 times what it was worth when it came out now, those crazy. But anyway.
That's true.
Get it to him. You'll be all right. But a must-have.
Oh, yeah.
All right. I guess that's it. We wrap it up. We'll use up all the tape on this segment.
All right, now we're done.
We're having a good time. Next week, to see me in the news with him. It's good. Have a good one, guys.
So Doctor Strange, The Oath, number 2. This would be a great time to point out, because I did get a nice little comment online about it. I'm not a big Doctor Strange fan. I appreciate him when he's in a group like the Avengers, or if there's a big story coming on where he has to play a part with all these other people, and it's a plan, it's, you know, all these intricate little details with magic, along with, you know, Wolverine's strength and everything else. I'm not a big fan of Doctor Strange on his own, and this would be the reason why. In The Oath, number 2, there's not a lot of action. It's him getting up off the operating table after the bullet's removed. The night nurse, who sounds like a really bad porn title, is coming around with him. You know, only now he calls her Watson because he doesn't want to call her night nurse because she sounds like she's, you know, from a porn movie. And Wong, and they're kind of hanging out and everything else, and they're on a train, and they jump off a train into, like, over the water, over the Harlem River. I didn't even know Harlem had a river, but apparently Harlem has a river. And you know, into this small pocket of reality to go get this vial of that he got from the first one, which is supposed to cure cancer, but it turns out it could cure everything. So yeah, there's not a whole lot going on in this book. It gives you a nice little backstory with him and his friend Jonas, who isn't going to be in the comic anymore because he got killed. So all that backstory for nothing. It's a slow-moving story. It's just not impressive without a bunch of things going on. You know, I need stuff happening. I'm a little bit ADD. You know, I like a setup book, but your setup book has to be like the first comic and a half. Don't make it 2 comics for the setup for no reason. And part of the no reason I'm referring to is in The Oath with this doctor. And they literally give you, like, I don't think it's like 6 pages of backstory with his friend. And when they finally get there, he's dead. It's like, why bother? You know, why really bother with that? And they brought in this you know, first he was just a thief for hire in the first one, this brigand guy, and now he's got, you know, Stark Enterprise security guard robot things. What's going on in this comic? Get focus, all right? Let's really look at what The Oath is. I'm going to keep reading it for now just to see where it's going, but I don't think it's going to be that great.
So this week I took a look at a comic that's probably a little odd for us to be covering. It's Franklin Richards' Son of a Genius, Happy Franksgiving. Yeah, I know, it's pretty corny. But you know what's funny? It's actually not so bad. It has, I think very intentionally, that Calvin and Hobbes vibe going to it. I mean, the characters look a lot like Calvin and Hobbes, except it's Franklin Richards and Herbie, the little floating robot guy. And he basically bemoans the fact that Franklin Richards just runs around and gets in trouble the whole time. The book is basically a couple of shorts. And like I said, they're kind of cute. It's actually kind of amusing. It's probably not so good to read them all in one sitting, but you know, if you're just looking for a few minutes just to kill, they're kind of amusing. Like the first one kind of had the whole Invader Zim, you know, Pee-Pee the hamster thing, where he gets a hamster as a pet from his father, Mr. Fantastic, and he wants a dog. So he knows that his dad's got this invention that increases things and transmutates them into other things. So he puts it on there, and the hamster grows to like Godzilla size. And, you know, hilarity ensues. It's actually kind of cool. There's another one where he puts on, like, this speed belt, which is him running around the whole time. Most of the humor comes from Herbie's, like, reactions to him. So, you know, it's one of those things. It's It's not good for maybe like a solid read, but you know, kill a few minutes, it's not bad. The other part of this book is the much fabled Guiding Light Avengers crossover. Yeah, it didn't sound so good of an idea when we heard about it, and now that I've read it, I can say I don't think that it was really necessary, you know. But then again, I don't think soap operas are much more necessary. I mean, I suppose they used to sell soap products. I don't know. It's kind of a stupid story. This woman gets this like weird electrical powers, and the Sinister Six find out about the Avengers going to check her out, and so they go to check her out, and you know, the normal typical thing happens. The villains try to get her on their side, and the Avengers are there to stop it. Yeah, it just wasn't very necessary. You know, it was ably told, and the art was solid, but yeah, don't go out of your way to read it. But I would give, you know, the Franklin Richards book. I'm actually going to pick it up from time to time. It's kind of funny.
So back at the Mid-Jersey Comic Con in Bordentown, I had a chance to talk to Rob Reilly, who in my opinion is a new up-and-coming artist, and I can't wait to see his work later on when he works for places such as Marvel, DC, Image, etc., etc. I really like his work, and I think you're going to like his work too. I say pick up Convention Confessional, and that's where we're going to go right now with this interview, him talking about it. So here we are at the Mid-Jersey Comic Con. I'm Mike, you guys know me, and sitting with me is our friend Rob Reilly. Good buddy.
Mike's a good guy.
Now,
thanks for having me on the show, Mike.
You are welcome, and thanks for being with us again. And I see you've gotten glasses fixed since Philly.
Since busting them on Mike Oming's chest, yes.
Which was good times and amazing fun to watch.
I bet it was amazing to watch anyway.
You looked like you were having a good time.
Yeah, until the next day.
Well, this is true.
Yeah.
So we are here, back to business, on because of Convention Confessional.
Yes.
Which is a book that me and Rick really like, with all of your characters, including Captain Cockblocker.
Everybody's favorite character.
One of my favorite characters. And it's about you at a convention.
Yes, it's basically the book is called Convention Confessional. It's about my friend Stephen Walters and he does a book called Suburban Folklore. And it's a culmination of the last 6 or 7 years on the convention circuit, and basically having to deal with people coming up to your table, or the people that you sit next to, or professionals. And it's just a humor book about how much it sucks being small press, and nobody gives a crap about whatever you're doing. And that's pretty much it. I mean, really, it's all about like I said, it's all about the dealings. Basically, the tragedy of working at a convention.
So it's all personal stories of true events that have happened to you.
It's all true events, but it's 90% true in the book and 10% with a little
over the top.
Over the top. You gotta go over the top. Otherwise, what's the point?
And it makes it all worthwhile.
I hope so.
Well, I enjoy reading. I'm looking forward to issue 3, and you're also working on a graphic novel that is untitled.
Yeah, I'm working on a graphic novel. It's about 120 pages long. It's a humor book. It's going to be basically about my life and all the humorous situations and ridiculous situations I've witnessed and been in. And it's going to be from my childhood to about my adulthood. And I think Harvey Pekar said it best was ordinary life is complicated stuff, and it really is. I mean, some people like the superhero thing. I like to read and write about real-life situations.
So the graphic novel is going to be essentially about what's molded you into you.
Basically, it's going to be a tell-all book kind of deal where I just, this is why I am the way I am, an erotic mess.
That sounds really interesting. Back to Convention Confessional for a second. Number 3.
Yes.
What is number 3 going to be? What are some of the little stories?
The little stories?
And the extra stuff that you threw in, of course.
Well, I threw some extra stuff in, of course. I put some friends in the background, foregrounds. I put Mike Oming and Neil Vokes and Brian Quinn. And I put a couple other friends, or my normal friends, not my comic book friends, in there. And, it's just kind of like, it's the last hurrah, it's the trilogy. Basically, the story's going to be about how I went from a previous book that I hate talking about and I won't talk about, to how I got the idea for Convention Confessional, and it's going to be a nice little humor story. Another story is going to be about reviewers. No offense, guys. They're not all liked.
Taken.
You guys are good guys, but they're not all good guys, And then I am going to write like about 5 or 6 page essay about basically what I think really needs to change about the industry as far as conventions. dealings with Diamond and what DC and Marvel really need to do to bring up the next crop of guys, because, you know, we're getting phased out, and where are you going to look for talent next?
So you're going to shake the very foundation on which this industry is set upon.
I don't know about all that. I don't think anybody, a few people might read it and be like, wow, but I think, again, only a few people will read it. So I think I'm just going to be burning many, many bridges, and this will probably be the last time you guys will ever see me doing a convention or a book after that comes out.
No, I'm sure we'll get to see him sometime.
Yeah, I'll be at some homeless shelter.
That'd be great. You can still do signings and everything on cardboard.
That's
It'd be
right.
great.
Cardboard drawings.
With your own poo.
For sandwiches.
For sandwiches, yeah.
That's right.
So Convention Confessional, pick it up. It's a great book. And also look forward to his graphic novel that's coming out. And
no title.
No
again.
title yet, but eventually when he names it and he actually sends us something that we can review, we'll send it out to you guys and let you know where it is and when you can get it.
Mike, thanks again for having me on the show. I appreciate it so
Rob.
much. Big fan. And we're out.
Okay, this week I took a look at Mouse Guard, Midnight's Dawn, written by David Peterson, and it's from our friends at Archaeo Studios Press. Now, this is issue number 5 of 6, and it gets a really big thumbs up from me. It picks up right from the last book. Liam, he's still prisoner under the Army of the Axe, and Kenzie and Saxon are still kind of palling around with Solanwi, the self-proclaimed Black Axe. They're still trying to help him find his axe, but you come to find out that they're trying to get back to Barkstone before the army kind of sets up their attack. Now, they know they're not going to make it, but at least they can, you know, give it a little hand before things go pretty bad for them. Now, you do find some interesting things out. While Liam is being held captive, the leader of the Army of the Axe kind of goes into why he's doing what he's doing, his whole motive behind, you know, trying to take over, you know, being the leader of all the mice. And it also goes into a nice little Renaissance illuminated page, you know, remembrance of, you know, what the Black Axe is, how it was made, and who the actual person kind of is behind the Black Axe. Really kind of neat, interesting backstory. Well, as the story progresses, you find out that Sadie, another mice from one of the other books, she winds up kind of getting to Barkstone before Liam and before Kenzie and Saxon can get there. She warns the people at Barkstone, and they can kind of prepare before the attack starts. Now, since this is issue 5 of 6, I'm sure that in the next issue we're going to see a little more action, you know, a little more fighting coming on. You know, you got some really cool mouse armor, so that's pretty neat for me. The only sad part is, you know, the story's going to be ending soon, so I really am going to kind of miss reading about these little guys. It was really fun for me to read about these little mice folk. So that's it about Mouse Guard, and I hope you enjoy it, because I know I do, and I'll see you again soon.
Exterminators issue 10 I also had the pleasure to read, and I mean pleasure with this. One for the fact that Tony Moore is back, and he is back with a vengeance. Tony Moore's artwork in this issue, amazing. I've never seen such detail in books like these. I mean, normally when people do like a swarm of roaches, they do like, I don't know, a couple nice ones in the front, and the ones that are further back are a little bit meh, they're just like shapes. And not Tony Moore. He does, there are roaches in there. And he does a very, very well-detailed inner depth of a sewer. His turds floating in the water and everything are great. But that's beyond the point of his amazing art. Story in this, you find out that our main characters are still hunting through the sewers, trying to figure out where the roaches are. They kind of know what they're planning to do. They just don't know why. You know, the roaches are forming together in tens of millions of roaches, forming as one kind of like roach wave, I suppose. And they're just kind of wiping out everything. They're heading to this big facility that controls all the sewage and plumbing in the cities, and that's really going to screw up a lot of things because, you know, 10 million roaches go into that, nothing's going to come out. So they end up somehow saving the day. I mean, the roaches didn't get to the place they were going to, they were flushed out to sea, but there's still tens of millions of roaches out there. And there's great situations with our 3 main characters in the sewers where it kind of shows them getting along with each other better than they have through the rest of the stories. And one of the great things was it shows you how these characters interact with each other in a much better way than they have in the past couple of issues. And one of the great things I thought about it was Kevin's character brings back his little luchador alter ego in this issue. When they're faced with swarms of roaches coming at him, he pulls out the mask, guns ablaze, and he's ready to take them on. They're not rats. He's got a gun. He still pulls out the mask. He's a man who knows what he wants. Anyway, great issue. like I said, the artwork's amazing. There's great calamities that ensue in this issue, and the ending just leaves it open for issue 11, which I've yet to read but highly anticipating.
So I walked into the store today and Kevin says, Mike, you got to read Bullet Points #1. It's a really great comic, critically acclaimed. It's going to be awesome. And I said, okay, Kevin, I'm going to read this awesome comic. Usually he's wrong. Sometimes he's right. This is one of the occasions where he was right. Bullet Points #1, #1 of 5. Amazing book. It's all about how one bullet, if you move it 24 hours into the past, changes everything in the Marvel Universe. Now, what I mean by this is that the one bullet that we're talking about is the bullet that shoots the doctor who invented the super soldier serum after he had administered it to Steve Rogers, who rose up to be Captain America, almost instantaneously. What happens is that because the shot doesn't happen on the 9th, but it happens on the 8th, not only does it kill the doctor, but it kills Ben Parker, who is a military police officer. Oh, yes, that's right, for all you obscure Spider-Man fans. Dig it. All right? So Steve Rogers never gets injected with the super soldier serum. Never gets it, which means he's not Captain America. There will be no Captain America at all. However, since the government can't, prepare for World War II without having some sort of backup plan here, they have what they call the Iron Man project, which was Iron Man suit, basically was what it was, but no, whiskey drinking, hard loving guy. Just, this big suit that no one could pilot because you had to be 4F or below, like Steve Rogers is before he gets the injection for the super soldier serum. Anyway, Steve Rogers becomes Iron Man, but not the Iron Man that we know today, but a different Iron Man. And on top of that, you don't have Bucky as his little, Captain America's little partner. Now, this doesn't happen, all right? Bucky's just a soldier who gets his leg injured and goes home with a Purple Heart. Oh, look at that. Changes everything. And then later on, towards the end of this book, they're setting up for the next one because Peter Parker grew up without Uncle Ben in his life, which means he doesn't have that, dependable old Pete sort of persona anymore. It's entirely different. He doesn't, his Aunt May keeps on referring to this Ben guy who she married like a zillion years ago, and it would be Peter Parker would be such a more well-rounded person if Ben was around. Well, he's not. So now Peter Parker's a hooligan, a smart, intelligent hooligan who can sneak out of films, and don't ask me how he snuck out of the film. And then on top of that, he can hotwire Jeeps. Now, this is only important because while they hotwire this Jeep, he ends up driving out with his friends into the desert where the Jeep dies. Well, time to go get more gasoline. Unfortunately, this is all going on during the gamma bomb testing phase. So lo and behold, it looks like Peter Parker will become the Hulk and not Spider-Man as we all know and love him. I think this book's amazing. It's got an Elseworld feel to it without being Elseworld. It's just showing how everything could be different if you just change one little incident. And that's what I love about this book. I say pick it up. Kevin was right. Good book. Awesome. Fantastic. Can't wait for the other 4 issues to come out here.
Wormwood issue 4, biggest cop-out ever. I'm giving you fair warning to anybody who's picking this up. Granted, I liked Wormwood. The preview issue was good. All the other issues were great. It had interesting characters, excellent artwork, new ideas for Ben Templesmith to go into, less undead, more interdimensional, demonic characters. But the ending is such a cop-out. You feel so cheated when you read it. It's just like all this build-up, and then that? I'm not going to give it away. I'm just saying don't expect anything grand from the ending of this. But the gist of the story before it goes to nothing was that the main character who was putting all these creature embryos inside of people, the people who took the erection medication, he doused it with that, and then they would get the embryos in them, and they would burst out and, meet him up in the sewers. And I'm thinking, all right, this guy's going to go on like a citywide rampage with these things and start taking people out. Well, he had a better plan. He brought all these creatures together to harness their energies to open up a portal to let a god known as Malak come out. I'm probably pronouncing that around, but... Oh, sorry, pronouncing that around. It takes these creatures to harness their energy to open up a portal to release a god known as Malak. Probably pronouncing that wrong, but with a CH you never kind of know. So anyway, that idea was interesting because I never thought of, hey, well maybe these things can do something else besides just kill. And they do something else, but Malak doesn't really do much. You see Mr. Pendulum in all of his glory. You see him rip off his jacket, and he's all jacked, kind of like an Iron Giant-looking type body. Big hands. He says he's going to make some sandwiches, which is nice. But, yeah, end of the issue, cop-out. I hope his little leprechaun story after this is a lot better than this one.
So this week I had the privilege of reading The Wicked West 2 Abomination by Todd Livingston, Robert Tennell, and Neil Vokes. You've seen Neil Vokes on the show before if you watched the show, so it's probably no surprise that I really like this book. Basically, it picks up not exactly where the last book left off, but there's further adventures of our hero Cotton, who, due to a curse, mysterious curse that we're starting to learn about in the second book, he's sort of, well, let's just say that bad, freaky things are attracted to him like flies. And he, pretty much wherever he goes, the stuff kind of like is either there or follows him there. The story starts off with him, because he's a bounty hunter when the story starts. And he's found this like really bad Mexican guy who's been like, you know, rampaging through the countryside. And he finds him just as he's about to string up this girl. And since the bounty was dead or alive, he decides, well, you know, I can send him back dead and I just get a little less money. May as well let this girl have revenge on this guy. Which leads to a pretty funny moment later on in the book when he actually drops off the dead guy. And they're like, hey, what happened to him? I mean, you know, it said dead or alive, but you didn't have to, like, mutilate him. And it was just kind of, it's a cool moment in the book. The main part of the story, though, is when he's in the town basically waiting for his payment, this freak show runs through town. And there's like this guy, he's a seer, and, you know, like most of these things, it's just all hooey anyways, and so he doesn't, you know, he thinks that he's just getting taken for a ride. But this guy, like, really wants to talk to him because he's seeing things and tells him about his curse, and so he follows him back to, you know, the rest of the freak show, where he meets this beautiful woman who, you know, in spite of himself, he falls for. And remember that I said earlier that bad things tend to follow him? Well, that's all I'm going to say about that. This is a fantastic read, fantastic book, and I don't know if I've ever seen Neil Vokes' art stronger than this. It's wow, it's that cool, and there's like some cool flashback scenes with these nice ink washes. It's just a beautiful, beautiful book. The cool thing about this book, though, is that they had so many stories that they wanted to tell that they sort of opened it to their friends and made it an anthology. So, you know, the first part of the book is the Abomination story. The second part is basically, you know, all their friends playing with Cotton. And there's a lot of cool stories. And, I mean, there's too many for me to, like, list out here, you know, but a lot of the usual suspects, if you know Neil Vokes and kind of like the gang that he hangs out with, you know, Mike Oeming's got a really cool piece in there. There's just a lot of cool stuff, and it adds a lot of flavor to Cotton because, you know, it sort of like expands his character. And I mean, not all of it is by, you know, the creators, but it all seems to be in a spirit that, you know, it all seems to work. So I would definitely, if you're new to Neil Vokes, this is a book to really, you know, just jump in, because you can technically read this out of order from Wicked West 1, but wow, blown away by this book. All right, another great show.
And they said it couldn't be done.
We got 2 in 1 week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I can't wait to get a copy of that Convention Confessional.
I can't wait either.
And as soon as we get one, you will see a review. You will see a review.
Reilly, hook me up.
But next week, or, well, not even next week, it's going to be Thursday, so like in a couple of days, we're going to have Mike Swistack returning for a review, an interview with Claiborne Moore, who had some cool stuff to say about some of his upcoming work. So that should be a...
Claiborne Moore, he does the Goon, right?
No, Claiborne Moore does the statues.
He does the statues. I am bet. Got it.
With Eric Powell. That was Eric Powell.
I apologize. I was terribly wrong. Goes to show you what I know about statues.
Randy Bowen did the Goon statue.
He did the Goon statue.
Yeah.
Okay.
So anyways, that'll be next episode. And for those of you who were paying attention last episode, I did a whole thing about if you're a fan of the show, now is the time to show that you're a fan of the show. Promote us online. We'll give you t-shirts.
T-shirts.
And if you have a comic book store or you know of a comic book store, we'll send them DVDs and postcards to show us in their store and help spread the good word.
Okay.
The Gospel According to Kevin.
I'd do it if I was you.
I do it in my store that I work at.
Yes, you do.
Yeah.
I know, it's creepy.
Although it's a little self-serving to see myself on TV all the time, but hey.
And I get freaked out by it all the time.
It sells books.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's the show for tonight.
That's it.
That's it.
All right.
All right. So we will see you next week.
Bye-bye then.
New York Comic Con is bigger, better, and is double the space, plus a table of us, with more gaming and anime for 2007. Come to the Jacob Javits Center February 23rd to the 25th and experience the biggest pop culture event in New York City, featuring comics, anime, manga, graphic novels, video games, trading card games, RPGs, MMOs, toys, movies, celebrities, and more. Guests of honor include Stan Lee, Jeff Smith, J. Michael Straczynski, and George Perez, with many more to be announced. For a complete list of guests, as well as the show information, visit NewYorkComicCon.com. Buy your tickets online now to ensure your spot for the 2007 show. Tickets are available now at discounted rates for advanced purchases at NewYorkComicCon.com. You can also book your travel arrangements online now on the travel page of the website. Don't miss out on the 2007 New York Comic Con. Visit our website to get all the information you need.
All right, where's Boba?
What?
Boba.
Right there. Boba. Oh, we're doing it over there?